Okay, welcome back to the second half class. This class is going to be really cool, more fun than making $55,000 like we did in Bitcoin in the first half class. This class, we're going to get to go to dinner with some really cool people and learn Python at the same time. Okay, let's open up the Visual Studios if you've closed them. If you haven't closed them, just leave them open. We're going to start a brand new project. Yay. Does everybody have Visual Studio open? Let's check. Got it open. Good. Good. And let's get Visual Studio open. Oh, you're able to Visual Studio back open? Yeah. Excellent. Okay. We're starting another program. Thank you. Okay. Walk around and see if got it open. Good. Okay, got it open. Great. And excellent. You got a better font than I do. Your small screens, you read my big screen. See if I can top that, get a little bit even larger there. Okay. Let's go to File, New, Project. Again, make sure it's on Python, even though we just used Python. I cannot tell you how many times I'll choose something else because I'm switching languages all the time. Click on Python application, and then go to name. Let everybody catch up there. Okay, we're going to name this the dinner party. Name it the Donner Party if you like, whatever. And this should bring us to a new Python program named dinnerparty.py, the Python extension. Okay, with comments are very important in code in any language. Very important to let you know what you were doing, what you're thinking at the time, because 6 months from now you're not going to remember what you were doing coding, unless it's a really cool application like this. But most applications you won't remember. So I'm going to create a one-of-a-kind dinner party. Okay, this is going to be kind of that tab. Python doesn't need a tab. Anything after the hashtag, #, whatever let's call it, it ignores. I just like to keep it looking good. Okay, so create a one-of-a-kind dinner party. For a dinner party, it's no fun to eat alone. So why don't we have a guest list? Let's make a list of guests. And don't worry about this because it's not in your homework, but you'll see this in the future. It's good practice to type it, but you don't have to memorize it. We're going to make this in an array. An array is a list of objects, or I'm sorry, a list of items, not objects. Arrays are in every language. So if you learn an array in this language, you'll know what an array is in another language. But again, it's not in your homework assignment. It's kind of a little bit far ahead, but it's going to make this program a little more fun. We're still going to be focusing on printing and using variables and math, though. But okay, so for the dinner party, let's choose some guests. And these guests can be anybody that you would like to have dinner with, be living or dead, famous or otherwise. Be someone, Julius Caesar from thousands of years ago, or Captain Kirk, or so. Who's our first guest? Who would we like to have at dinner? Anyone in history?
Karl Marx.
Karl Marx. Let's see.
Karl Marx and Chris Brown.
Karl Marx.
Oh, Chris Brown.
Okay. And go ahead and type this along in yours. And then Chris Brown.
Yes.
Oh, Chris Pratt.
No, fuck.
Who? Chris?
Chris Pratt.
B-R-E-T-T?
No, P-R-A-T-T.
Oh, Pratt. Chris Pratt. I love Chris Pratt. I'm sorry. I don't hear as well, Steven, so, you know.
Harley, why do you like Chris Pratt? Dude, he's like this like G-list beautiful, like. No, I'm just kidding. He's really beautiful and gorgeous. What do you want me to say about him? Yeah,
I don't
I don't want
see
to.
the face.
You won't. That's against the rule.
I don't care.
Then you'll do it.
What are some of Chris Pratt's, well, Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, The Office, not Office, Parks and Recreation.
Oh.
What was the, okay, he did an Ops one, I think it was him. It was in space. He was on a voyage. I think it was Chris Pratt. Help me out here.
In what?
It's in a voyage in like a colony ship, and he.
Oh,
his
Oh,
num-
that's the new passengers?
Yes.
Yeah, that was not that great.
Oh, okay. I liked him in that too.
Yeah, Starlight.
Yeah.
Starlight.
Oh.
Okay, and then I'm sorry, you had another one, Chris.
Yeah.
Is there? We need another person.
Gary Busey.
Gary Busey. Oh my gosh, Gary Busey was the only famous person who came out of my high school.
Really?
Yes.
Gary Busey was in your high school?
Yes, he was. I mean, way before my time, like way before my time.
Okay, I was like.
But yeah, it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So
Oh, okay.
Hale High School.
Hey, have you ever gotten bit by a trigger?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Dude, I go to Oklahoma a lot because I have some family out there.
Okay.
Oh my God, last time I was out there, I had a trigger bite on the back of my calf right here.
Yeah.
Man, that was nuts.
They're annoying.
They're really annoying.
They're annoying.
I had to burn it out of there. I took a lighter and just like got it, but like, oh my God.
It's weird. They have like either different species or a different name for them out here. You know what they call them out here?
Cicadas, I think?
No-see-ums.
No stews.
And I'm like, what's no-see? They're like triggers. It makes sense because you never see the triggers. So yeah.
That's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I went to Oklahoma State and I went to school in Tulsa. And so.
Nice. Awesome. Oklahoma's a really good state.
It is. It's nice and green. Lots of rain. Okay. So Gary Busey. Okay, so we have our guest list here. Now with an array, when we first make an array, and again, this is nothing you have to memorize right now, just good to know, is that you can put however many people you want here. We're gonna put like 20 or 2 or 1, doesn't matter. We're gonna just kind of have 3 because 3 is an easy number to talk to. Okay, so here's our guest list. And you notice I didn't really have to put any comments about that because I named the array guest list, which is self-explanatory. Very important when you're working with variables. At one time, it was actually necessary to do a lot of abbreviations, one-letter variables, because at one time space mattered. You had like minis and mainframes that people were sharing time on that had less than a meg of RAM. I mean, so you had like less than 1 million bytes to share, and it was very expensive too. So, I mean, a phone has gigabytes, not megabytes. So, it's just staggering how things have changed. All right, let's when I code, I like to kind of map out what I'm doing with my comments. So I wanted to create a one-of-a-kind dinner party, and now I'd like to invite these guys to dinner. And here's where we get back to kind of the lessons you guys are going over in your homework. Back to the print statement. Okay, notice I have a guest list with the brackets with a 0. In an array, computers, they start counting with zeros. They don't start counting with 1. That's true in almost all languages, very few exceptions. And it's actually easier to work with. So the first guest is actually guest number 0. I'm going to go ahead and run this. It's a good idea to run your program along the way just to see if it's doing what you expect before you type everything in. So we have Karl Marx, you're invited to dinner. Is everybody getting the same result? Okay, good. Okay, and then you press the red stop debugging here. Okay, well, we have one invitation out. We can print this different ways. Let's do Chris Pratt a completely different way. We can just say, Chris Pratt, you are invited to dinner. Okay, so notice how different this is. We didn't use the variable, the array variable that we put Karl Marx in. Chris Pratt, we could have said, change that to 1, and that would come up with Chris Pratt. We just actually typed the name here. And we didn't concatenate it with a plus sign. We're using strings, so we're concatenating using a plus sign. Whereas before we concatenated with a comma. That was because we had a string and an integer we're concatenating into a sentence. So let's go ahead and run this. Now we should have 2 out of our 3 people invited to dinner. We have 2 invitations done. Does everybody have the 2 invitations done? Excellent. And feel free, if you want to invite somebody else besides who's on this list, that's totally okay, because this is not an assignment, this is more of a lab practice. Something to have fun with. And also feel free to, if you want to work with our array, you can invite Chris Pratt a different way. You can invite him like we invited Karl Marx. Okay, so let's invite our 3rd and final person here. And I'm going to go back to using the array. Okay, if I'm going to invite Gary Busey, which elements of my array is Gary Busey there? 2. So let's see if that's correct. So we have Karl Marx is 0, Chris Pratt is 1, and Gary Busey is 2. That is the correct answer. Great job. Okay, and then we'll do the proof. And we'll say you are invited to dinner. Okay, I'm gonna run this. We'll stop the previous one and press the play on the. Karl Marx, you're invited to dinner. Chris Pratt, you are invited to dinner. And Gary Busey, you are invited to dinner. Now notice the mistake here I made. It's hard to read. Gary Busey, you are invited to dinner. It's like one word. So I forgot to place a space in front of the U. The space has to come from somewhere because concatenation does not make an automatic space. Let's run that again after we place a space there. It's a lot more readable now. A lot more readable. Okay, so we have our invitation list. So we're going to assume that they met us for dinner. So we are all at dinner okay, where are we eating dinner at? What restaurants would you bring these 3 people to? Applebee's? Absolutely. Okay, so we're all eating dinner at Applebee's. Let's do, we've ate dinner, and let's say the check has come. The bill arrives. Okay, so let's make a variable, and we'll call it the bill. And let's say the bill was $100. And let's say our waiter is going to say something to us. Waiter says your bill is $100. Then an awkward silence occurs. All right. Let's run that. So our invitation list we're sending out. We go to dinner at Applebee's. The waiter says, your bill is $100. Then an awkward silence occurs over the table. We can fill out our story a little more. We can I'm also going to put some filler in just for some separation of events. I'm just choosing asterisks as random. They could have been dashes. Dashes might have been better, actually. Okay. Looks a little bit better with the formatting there. Okay, we have the invitations being sent out. And then we can say we arrived at Applebee's to eat dinner. Waiter says your bill is $100. Then an awkward silence occurs. Okay. Being a good waiter, the waiter notices there's you and 3 other people there. So the waiter will say, would you like me to split this bill 4 ways? And we respond, yes. Yes, we would. Okay. So we're at dinner with these awesome people, and the bill comes and it's $100 after we eat, and the waiter, she says, would you like me to split the bill 4 ways? And we said, yes, that's a good idea. That's a fair solution. So now the waiter has to split the bill 4 ways, and Python can help us with our story here. So we already have the bill. That's $100, so we can work with that. This was great about variables. You don't have to redo the bill. Because we want to get each person's share. Okay, if we're splitting the bill by 4 and want to get each person's share, mathematically, how would you do that if you're a waiter? And think simple, just excellent. And what would we divide by? Excellent. By the 4 people at the table. Okay, so we'll take the bill. Divide it by 4. And that gives us each person's share. So then we'll print Okay, remember earlier I said when we concatenated an integer, which is a number, and a string, that we couldn't use the plus sign like we could above here, where we could use like this. This should give us an error if we try to do this. Okay, let's run this. Okay, we have an error. You always create errors. You always have to, what's called debugging. It's normal. Everybody does it. I do it. This one is actually on purpose then, which is rare. Mine are usually always on accident. So we need to debug this to make a program work. You remember from the program that we typed in the first half of the class, when you have an integer and you have a string, which one that concatenate together, instead of using the plus sign, what do you use to concatenate those together into one? Absolutely, the comma will work. Yes, good answer. Okay. Stop this. Okay, so now, thanks to Python, which I'm sure the waiter's using Python on his phone, or to split the bill. Yeah, the waiters have different preferences.
Why is a calculator?
Maybe, yeah. Absolutely. Or maybe what is someone who's writing a story about our experience with these 3 people at dinner. And maybe we're using Python to write this in interactive fiction. So we have our invitations we sent out. Karl Marx, Chris Pratt, and Gary Busey. We arrive at Applebee's to eat dinner. The waiter says, your bill is $100. Then the awkward silence occurs. Being a good waiter, she notices that a total of 4 people are at the table. That is your 3 invited guests and yourself. The waiter will say, would you like to split the bill 4 ways? We respond, yes. Yes, we would. The waiter says each person's share will be $25. Of course, the waiter had help from Python to figure that out. And that is the end of the dinner party. So this is what we're doing here. Is not, we're not doing just math in our code for the sake of doing math. We're integrating this math and we're applying it to a problem. We're not just saying, what's 100 divided by 4? That's the real strength of programming languages and Python, is to be able to apply math to problems. Now, you saw in the video earlier that different ways you can use Python and apply advanced math skills to things like machine learning, artificial intelligence. So it's a little more complex math, but Python has no trouble doing it thanks to libraries like NumPy. It has a lot of really good libraries built in to handle that. It also has graphing libraries to plot out things you do. Okay, next thing I like to do is to start a brand new, this one I'm not going to write code up. I'm going to have everybody do it on their own, but I am going to give direction. And I'm going to leave this code up as an example though. It's always good to have a reference. And let me launch some Notepad here. Okay. The first thing I'd like to do is to come up with a guest list of 5 people. So create an array of 5 people that you would like to go to dinner with. So these are not going to be these up here. So create your guest list and choose your own 5 people. Do this in a new project though. Yes.
You know if Visual Studios has an option to enable?
It does. Question. Excellent. Love you. All right, so we can do this on binary without looking at. Let's go to File, Options Flow, the Tools, right? Tools, Options all the way down. Okay. And here in general. Yeah, let's try this. Text editors would want to be all languages, line numbers. There you go. Yeah, much better. Okay, yeah, it really does help. Let me do it for this computer too. I like that. Great idea. Okay, this is actually something I think everyone would benefit from, knowing where it is and to actually do it. Line numbers. Okay, to enable line numbers in Visual Studio, and this works for all languages. So this is a really good thing because learn once, use many places. Tools. Everybody find the tools at the top there? Go down to options. So tools options. Is everybody on tools options? Anyone not finding it? Excellent. Okay, we're going on to the text editor. And the reason we're choosing text editor, because there's a lot of options, and it's kind of confusing when you look at how many options there are, is because we want the line numbers to appear in our text editor. Good way to remember it. We want to do this for all languages. And although line numbers has a box in a box, we want a check mark. A box in a box means partial, whereas a check mark means all languages. Clicking OK, that will give you line numbers on the left. And that way you can refer to, especially when you're working with someone else, maybe in pair programming, look at number 10 or number 11, or if you're remote and you're talking to your professor for help, it's easier to go line number this, line number that. Walk around and make sure there's line numbers on. Good. John, line numbers on. You can put your line numbers on for me? Yeah, it's good at tools. And then we'll go to options all the way down. And scroll down on the left to text editor, because we want to put the line numbers inside the text editor. Past it. When somebody's looking over my shoulder, I cannot find anything. So. A little bit more. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Down. Okay. And expand the text editor. Go to all languages. Then on the right, we should see line numbers there. It has a box in the box on the right side there. Line numbers. And width. Down a little bit. Right, you got it right there. And then now click it again, and the check mark will appear. Press OK, and you'll have line numbers on the left. Excellent. Good job. Line numbers, line numbers, line numbers. And you have line numbers in here, right? There's. Sorry, I'm sorry. Oh, I just closed it. I'm understanding all of it, I promise. So we're good to go. Good. Excellent. Okay. We'll walk around and make sure other folks have the line numbers. Good job. Excellent. Great job. Excellent. Still a bit of fun than I did. Okay. Okay, so we should have five people on our guest list right now. And send out the invitations, please. Once you invite our guests to dinner, you can send them out any way you would like. You can send them out in a combination like I did. You can send them out in concatenation. You can put each person's name hard-coded. This is called hard coding. When you put the value in instead of use the variable. You ever hear that term? Hard coding is something you want to stay away from because you have to change it here, and here you have to change it. Like, what's the difference? Why is it so bad to hard code something? If at the last minute I wanted, Karl Marx couldn't make it, and I had to get Joseph Stalin or somebody else to dinner, then I can change it here, or I can change it here. What's so bad about hard coding it? It becomes more work because, again, when you're learning with 10 lines, 50 lines. When you're at work, there's thousands and tens of thousands of lines of code. So if you have tens of thousands of lines of code in your program, maybe Karl Marx appears in 500 of those lines. So to change Karl Marx, you can change it one place here, and it changes it in all 500 places for you. Instead of going in, and when I say changing 500 places, as long as you're using the variable name, it'll change wherever that variable is. It's not like a copy-paste change, or find replace. But that way you change it one place instead of changing it in 500 places. really saves a lot of time, especially when you're changing things all day long. You can imagine multiplying that. Absolutely. I wish you could.
How would you do that in Python? Because I'm not in C#.
We'll look into that after we do a program. And I will do have everyone do a basic version first, and then we'll look at that. Good question. What he's referring to is for loop is to allow iteration. So you could, for example, a good use of it, instead of having to print out, you were invited to dinner, guest number 2, you're invited to dinner, guest number 3, you're invited to dinner. What his idea is, great idea, use a for loop. And then you just use this once, you're invited to dinner, and the for loop goes through it the number of times you ask it to go through it. In this case, 3, in your case, would be 5. And it would loop and print out the person's name, and you're invited to dinner in a for loop. So you write just a for loop, and so it prints it out for you. So okay, like you're like, okay, why would I want to write a for loop and learn how to write it if I'm only printing 3 or 5 people out? Well, usually your list is going to be like 400 or 500 people. And so instead of writing 400 or 500 lines of code to send out invitations, you write a for loop, which is 2 extra lines of code, and you loop through the list, and you save yourself writing 500 lines of code. Things like that separate bad programmers from good programmers when I think about solutions like that. Good job on that. Okay, so we've have 5 people on the guest list. You've sent 5 invitations. Go ahead and do a regular print line saying, hey, we've arrived at Applebee's or wherever you like. You can arrive at McDonald's. You can arrive at Burger King. You can arrive anywhere you can think of. No wrong place to eat. And then decide what the bill is going to be. Here's an example. What's nice about this, only changing in one place. Okay, the bill's $100. What if I change my bill to be, say, $1,000? I change it one place, and then I'm running the program. And the bill for each person, then it's going to be $250. I don't even have to change any other code. Doing this by hand, you have to make a lot of investments. Okay, so now you've decided on the place, add the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. Add the bill and choose your own amounts. After you choose your own amounts, have the waiter come over and speak to the table. And you can make a call. Even though there's 5 guests and 1 of you, what, that's 6 people total. You can make the call and you can say, I would like to pay for the entire thing myself, or I would like to split the bill 6 ways. Or maybe I would like to split the bill 2 ways. Maybe one of the guests, or 2 of the guests that you have at dinner are extremely rich. So you can split the bill at it using a different number each time. And see what your result's going to be. Okay, split the bill 3 ways in mine this time, and it's a $1,000 bill, and it came up $333.33. And it actually came up as a float. I'm not going to go into really do you guys know what the difference between a float and an integer is? A double? What is an integer? What is an integer? A what? A number. Yes, it's a number, and it's like a counting number. 5, 6, 7, 520. Okay, now a decimal or floating point or double is something that you'd use for money or for scientific purposes. We have to go beyond decimal. We need fractions. So this right here came out as a decimal. It came out $333.33 for 333, kind of like a calculator would almost. So we need to reformat that number, which I think we're out of time right now, but, and I don't think that's in your lesson anyway, but we'd reformat that where it would come out just $333.33, and that would be how the bill would be split. So play around with this program for fun. Change the amount of the bill, the number of people you divide it by, depending on who you want to pay. All right. We are 1 minute over. I apologize, but thank you for your patience again with me for the second half of class. And Stephen will be back next week in action. And you can do more fun Python with him.